السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So, today I will be talking to you about what I did with my first grader last year and a little bit about touch base about what I'm going to be doing this year, inshallah. Um, so I said before in a different video about something that I used, a tool that really benefited me a lot and even my kids. Um, so I always have a list for my kids, like ever since, for so long now. I made them a list so that, okay, I expect you to do all this, kind of the schedule for the day, and it breaks down everything. So it's not just Quran, for example, that you need to finish. I would break down every single thing that they have to do for Quran. For example, memorization, old review, new review, reading, um, the Quran journal. For Islamic studies, if they have multiple things, so I would break it down for them so that they feel, sort of satisfaction when they check off everything that they have to go down the list. Um, but what I found out that when I make my own self a list of what I have to do with my kids for school for the day, it really made my life much easier. So this is actually my own list. I made it. This is for Hazen for my first grader last year. It lists down everything that I have to do with him, even the stuff that I would let him do on his own, which is not much because he's a first grader. But I did this for every individual child. So I have all six of them. Even my oldest, who was a senior last year um, in high school. Not that I do it with her, but I would be aware, and I would by the end of the day tell her, okay, so did you do this? What did you do for this? How was this? And then I will check it off for myself just to say that, okay, all of them have done what they're supposed to do. And for days that they haven't, let's say I didn't get to finish something, let's say with Hazem, for example, first grader, oh, I didn't get to do math. So that would most probably be the first thing that I start with, just to make sure that I don't miss it a couple days in a row. Uh, so this really is a tool that really, really, really made my life easier. It gives me a vision of how my day is going. Um, and by the end of the day, I kind of, it gives me a feel and to assess the situation and see, oh, okay, I haven't been doing this most of the time. I need to focus on this, or I need to manage my time more wisely, so that I get to finish as much as I should or I am planning to throughout the day. Anyway, so that's for this. So this is my own. I have my own um, notebook for every year. So that makes it talks like I um, next to my list, I would list down what I agreed, like my plan for the year for each child, so that I know what curriculum I will be using, what methods I will be using, what resources I will be using for each child. This way, I have this is my go-to. If I try to say, okay, I don't like this curriculum, I'm gonna try to see if I want to use something else. This way, I have it all recorded for future reference if I need to. Anyway, so for my first grade, my first grader, I we always start with the Quran as much as we can, and the Quran is always uh, three, 4, or 5, um, or 5 or 6 actually, 3, 4, 5. No, actually, up to 5 uh, parts. The older one have 5 parts. The one who can read have 4 things to do. The one who can't read have 3 things to do. So my first grader, by the end of the year, he started reading. So he started with 3 things to do for the Quran. Then we added the fourth thing to do, task to do. The 3 things to do that everybody has is memorization, old review, and new review. So the old review. So and for him, I used to do the same thing that I used to use the picture, the Quran, my first Quran in pictures, but I stopped because he got older and he started to read. So I wanted him to get used to the actual Quran. So I assigned a Quran for him. So we would memorize a surah. And the way we do this, I spend a week in the beginning just before we start a new surah, I have him listen and repeat, listen and repeat. The very beginning, he just listens. But after that, he would listen and repeat, listen and repeat. So when I sit with him for my own sanity, he actually does have, um, he would, if I repeat a sentence, he would, or a verse, he would actually finish it for me because he's familiar with it. He's been listening to it for quite some time, and that helps me a lot, as opposed to, oh, okay, so today we're gonna start, doing sort I don't know, death. So, and I start saying it and expect him to repeat, and it's completely foreign for him. So it's hard on him, and it's hard on me having to wait for him repeat these foreign words for him. But I found it way easier when he comes to me after a week. Uh, um, Already familiar with the rhythm of the surah. And during that week, we would be repeating the last surah that we've memorized. Let's say we just finished Surah Al-Muzammil. So when he recited it the first time after we're done with it, this is when he's going to start listening to Surah Al-Muddathir. And during that week, we're going to, make sure that he got Surah Al-Muzammil done by repeating it every day. That's our memorization for an entire week, that he repeats Surah Al-Muzammil for me. And at the same time, listening to Surah Al-Muzammil. Now, and then we have a schedule for the old memorization, the ones that it's the old, old review, the old surahs that he has piled memorizing. And then the new review is the latest. So if we just finished the Muzammil, for example, so he this is would be his new review. Or if we started Surah Al-Muzammil, let's say Surah Al-Muddathir, and we are towards the end, so the new review would be the beginning of Surah Al-Muddathir. So these are the three things that he would have. But then once they start reading, I add reading the Quran. So we would have, for him, for example, towards the end of the year, alhamdulillah, he started reading. So we started reading Surah Al-Baqarah. And it's up to him. I let them, when it comes to Quran, I always, let them do what is comfortable to them, because I don't want the Quran to be a source of uncomfort to them. So usually I tell him, okay, let's just read a verse. I told him a verse because he was still struggling reader. So he would say, oh no, I want to read more. Towards the end of the year, he would read an entire page. He wants to. And if he's struggling, and if it's especially Surah Al-Baqarah, because we put it on every night, so he's actually familiar with it. So he would actually repeat it. Sometimes he's not even reading it, and that's why he makes mistakes. So I was like, don't just try to recite. Read what you see. But alhamdulillah, so that's how it is. Number five, for the oldest one, we have the Quran journal, and I think I talked about it in another video, but I will talk it. I think I will have it. I will have a separate video for it. But it's just reflection, um, g- general reflection. It started with just reflection on verses from the Quran, whether they're memorizing or from the old review or from the new review or even from what they read. But then we expanded to names of Allah, some ahadith, or anything in general about Islam and Allah. I let them just expand because some of them like to write, so I didn't want to limit their creativity. I was like, okay, just put something down. So some of it would be poetry. Some of it would be just one of them is passionate about calligraphy, so she would do the verse in calligraphy and then she would write about it. And there's really no rules about it. For his age, I try now to have him, alhamdulillah, he would ask a lot of questions, which is the beginning of reflection. So I ask him to always ask me questions. I try to touch base over the meaning of the ayat that we memorize. I always understanding the ayat is a big thing for me. Even with like in my when did a review for my preschooler, I try to tell her very basic meaning of the verses that she's memorizing. And I do the same thing with my first grader. But for him, he has more questions now, alhamdulillah. So I try to encourage that and I tell him. So we're doing the Quran journal, but not in writing. We're doing it and discussing different things. So he would ask me, oh, why did Allah say that? Why did he do this? And I was like, okay, this is really good. This is what Allah wants us to do. We want to reflect on what we're reading so that we will be able to use it in our daily life. So I'm preparing him for number five in our Quran tasks. Um, um, that's it. So for second, when he's a second grader, I would get him this it's a creative story tablet where you have uh, half just blank and half lined. So what I'm planning to do for this year for the Quran, we do the exact same thing with the reading, and he would do the five for the second grade. I would have him draw something that that is related to what we did in the Quran today, and maybe write one sentence and we rotate either Arabic or English. This way, at the same time, I'm practicing writing. I don't have to have a separate writing for them, at least for the little ones. For the older ones, of course, they have to do more intensive writing. So um, that's it. That's it for Quran. So I would ask him to reflect on the picture, tell me why he drew it, how is it related to what we talked about in the Quran, and then I will help him construct a sentence one time in English, one day in English, one day in Arabic. This way he's practicing uh, creativity. Writing, um, spelling, vocabulary. I would help him if he used very simple word. I would tell him, oh, you know what? There's another word for it, and I will teach him that. That's it for um, uh, for the Quran. Seems a lot, but I try to really not take a lot of time. Without the journal, we're starting the journal this year, but without the journal, it would not take us, or I would make sure it does not take us more than half an hour to learn Quran. And half an hour is too much. And if it's if it goes up, if it takes longer, like up to half an hour, I would make sure that he takes breaks because I don't want him to feel annoyed. I don't want him to feel uncomfortable in any way, especially when we do Quran. Now comes the Islamic studies. He does An-Nus, and this is an online program based on, and I did talk about it in another video for my preschooler. It's a program that is based on a character named An-Nus, which means little human. All right, that's him. And it's based on stories with the main character Anus, who likes to reflect um, uh, on the names of Allah through everything around him. All right. I love it so very much. It's in Arabic. They do have in English, I think, not all the levels. They have, I think, five or six levels. I have two of my kids, the first grader, now second grader. This is going to be his second year with them. And my fifth grader. She started from the first level all the way. She's in fifth level right now, and I think there is a sixth level, and that's it. They go up to, I would say, 14 years old, I think. Uh, but I highly encourage uh, this. It's called Tafakkar Ma Annus, which means reflect with Annus. What he does, so this is the second level. He's going to be in the third level. He's 7 years old, and he started when he was five. And each uh, he's starting the third level now. in in I think in a month. So it reflects on, so Ahibbullah al-Karim, I like Allah the most generous, and it talks about, look at your um, body. Um, what if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only gave you something, that He gave you that thing in the best shape and form? Um, what if, and they start thinking, they do a lot of critical thinking. They call it ماذا لو, like what if my hand was longer, what if my face was bigger, what if my nose was not here, it was on the top of my head. So a lot of critical thinking, a lot of reflection, a lot of so do it yourself. So they do games during online, even though it's an online course, but there's a lot of movement as well, and a lot of projects. I love it. I love it. I mean, I cannot talk about it enough. It's just I would go on and on and on, but I love it. And every time this comes with a book for the parents, a checklist that, things that you are supposed to do. Um, with your kids based on the lesson that they just covered. Uh, so talk to them about, take them outside, talk to them about Allah, tell them, so it really guides you. It's a big, so it's kind of a class for the kid and a parenting class as well for you through this book. And they always talk to the parents and they keep them updated, and they talk to you about your child if you have any problems with them. They work more about mindfulness too. So my older one now, the fifth grader, the fourth grader, then she was talking. They were talking to her a lot about mindfulness and how to be aware of yourself and your surrounding and how to control yourself. But I'll talk about this later in her video, reviewing her curriculum. But I just love it. So this is what we do for Islamic study, because it's really based on the names of Allah. For And I also do, well, I don't have it yet printed. المبادئ الأساسية. These are one, two, three, four books. I found it on Telegram. My oldest son, he was in an Islamic studies program, and they had this for for the first level. So I had it printed. They had it available. I will try to share the link to the books, but it's basically the basics that your child needs to know about Islam. And has um, each lesson has what do you call it? Has a section. So the first section would be hadith, which is prophetic saying. Then it's tajweed, so how you read the Quran, the tajweed rules, the rules of reading the Quran. Uh, then it is fiqh, all right, rulings. And then there's seerah, the story of the prophets, and they end up with the sunnahs, like what did the prophet used to do. So what I used to do, and I would do that with him occasionally, not on a daily basis. When they had a noose, I wouldn't do it because we wouldn't have time. But the days that he doesn't have a noose, he has a noose 2 days a week, Monday and Wednesday. I would do uh, the basic principles of Islam uh, with him and my fourth grader, then my then fourth grader. I would have them memorize the hadith, talk about the seerah, talk about the tajweed together. And we, alhamdulillah, we finished the first book. There's two other books that we're going to do this year. This year, he's still going to do Anus, the third level, and we're still going to do this. And I just found that they have another book about the creed, the aqidah, which I'm trying to, just look through it and see if I can apply it in some interesting way to them. The plan, yeah, that's it for Islamic studies. As far as Arabic, I would do I am in love with the Palestinian curriculum. I use them for any Arabic related curriculum. My first go to is the Palestinian curriculum, and it's available online. All you have to do is type Al Manhaj Al Falistini, and it will come up. Different websites, and I'll see if I can um, find the website and share it. But I love it because I have never, well, I mean, I don't know if there is, but I am impressed with the fact that there is a listening part, and the listening part is available online on YouTube. All you have to do is just say uh, the grade level, first grade, الفصل and then you write the درس الأول, first lesson, and then حرف الذال, and the name of the lesson, and then it will come up to you. So they would listen, and then you would ask them questions. So you are actually having them um, practice their listening skill in Arabic. And then I also like this. So they have picture. What we do together is um, they look at the pictures, and then um, they tell me. So speaking skills. What do you see? What do you see here? There is a lesson based on these pictures, but we don't like for the older ones, for example, there would be a lesson telling you what's going on, but I don't let them look or read it till they actually look at the picture and practice the speaking skills. Um, and then we just do there's writing, there's reading again, and they do have some. These are more exercises, and they do have some. What do you call it? Some songs or not songs, poetry and nasheed that I have them read multiple times, sometimes listen to it. And they're very short, so sometimes they get to memorize it. And since he was, alhamdulillah, he can read now, but I finished with him when he was in kindergarten. I finished with him Al Qada Nuraniya. So this year, for just because I felt the Qala Nuraniya is more very basic and it goes very fast. So by the end of the Qala Nuraniya, the child would read, but I feel that, and I tried the Qala Nuraniya with all of them, the older four, but I felt more the Nur al Bayan. I came across Nur al Bayan and I shared it in the other video. I felt it's more, it's way slower rate, not rate, a smaller pace, and it strengthen and it has more practice. So I was like, okay, now that he can read, I will just do with him Nur al Bayn. I didn't start from the very beginning because he had the basics already, but I tried to use the part where there is a lot of reading, words and then sentences and then verses. So just for added practice before we actually, and then towards the end of the year, like I said, we started reading the Quran. I will have him, one thing I will have him do this year, aside from reading the Quran, I would choose a book that we can read together. um, um, so I would read one page, he would read a paragraph, for example. I do that with the fourth grader. I did it with fourth grader last year. It's a technique that I learned from the good and the beautiful. As they're gradually going up in reading level, first the parent would read. Second, we would have a book where you read and I read. Like the child would read a page and the parent would read a page, and then after that they go on to just reading on their own. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask him to choose with me a book that we read together, because reading the Quran is really, you build different skills when you read outside the Quran, because most books don't have the harakat. So this is a skill that you need to practice, um, to be able to read without the harakat and still read it right. Um, so we're gonna do this year, inshallah. And then he also did. There is an online program called Rawdat Al Fusha. I love them so much because they really have a good mission, and I always look into the mission of anything that I do online, especially. They really want to bring forth the love for Fusha. Um, So they have so many. What he did was uh, a class where it talks about it's mainly vocabulary, but they relate it to the Quran. For example, they have topics. They talked about the first topic was Jasad al-Insan, the body. So they would give you the basic names, and they would tell you if each one of these have different vocabulary or synonyms for it, and how it was mentioned in the Quran. All right, um, and and um, the explanation of the tafsir of the ayat where these words have been mentioned. Another one is the another unit was about animals in the Quran. So they would give you, for example, the name of the animal, what the female animal, the name for the female animal, the name for the male animal, the name for the baby animal, and how it was mentioned in the Quran and why. All right, the story behind it. So they would. It was really an intensive course, and he was 6 by then, and I felt that it was too much for him. But the more he was into it, the more he goes to he would ask about the class. When am I going to have this class? Even though I felt like, is he really getting it? But I felt that he is. He is. Like when sometimes they would use they would show them poetry with these words. So he would memorize the 2 lines or 3 lines of poetry, and I was really impressed, you know. And I told myself, even if he's not getting everything, at least he's exposed to the language, you know. And if the only thing he comes out of from this class is a love for the Fusha, I will be happy. He doesn't have to remember every single thing that he learned. But I have the resources, and they're very, very nice. They give you, you know, the PDF file for everything so that you can always use it later. They're very good people. I talked to the founder of the academy of the online program, and she's such a sweet lady. And I would try to. They're on Facebook. It's called Rawdat Al Fusha again, and they have different programs, not just this. So they also have the insects in the Quran. All right. What else did he do? Animals, insects. I don't remember. Body parts, and then they also had different things like the um, nature stuff, like like trees and uh, um, mountains and stuff like that. Um, so they have different things. They have dictation, they have grammar, they have handwriting, penmanship. They have different kind of subjects, sub-subjects for Arabic. So, but that's for him. That's the only thing I used. I use different stuff with my other kids. Now for math, I used. That's it for the Arabic. For math, I used the good and the beautiful. The good and the beautiful. And I love it. I love the good and the beautiful. Um, it's a spiral, so it just adds up, and there's always a review in the beginning. I love how there's always a review, reviewing past lessons, and there's also a review at the end. So there's like a kind of a warm up from previous lesson, and then at the end of each lesson, there is a review uh, going over everything else that he has been doing so far. So that I loved, to be honest. Um, and it wouldn't take us any time. This would take us maximum 15 minutes. And he loves math. He loves it. So he has no problem even spending an hour doing math. He loves it, which is a breather for me. This year, we're planning on actually, we are exploring IXL. We did it before a long time ago for my oldest one, but it was only a trial. We didn't continue because I felt that it's not enough, especially that all the reviews says that it's a supplemental curriculum. It cannot be used as a standalone, but I will actually try. I'm debating right now. I know for sure that I will be using it for most of my kids this year, but I'm debating whether I should use it as a supplement or should I get him the good and the beautiful alongside the IXL. To be honest, I decided that inshallah I will just start the year with just IXL, see how he's doing, see if it's enough and sufficient. If I felt that, oh, no, that doesn't look like it's gonna, serve the purpose, I will definitely, I like IXL, I will definitely, we've been using it over the summer and so far they like it and I like it. Um, but I will see. I'll assess the situation. I will see. But most probably that's what we'll do for this year. Just IXL. That's for math. For science and studies and social studies and science, I use the 180 days off for both. I use this. I use this, and I used this. Uh, I didn't like it. He liked it. I used it also with my fourth grader last year. I felt, at least for first grader, I felt very, it's ridiculously simple. It's just uh, for the science, to be honest, it wasn't that bad, but there are some I missed. Like I skipped maybe 2, 3 units, not pages, units, because it was so dumb. Really, it was very dumb. And I told him that I was like, I'm not gonna. I know you're very smart, and I'm not just gonna go over this with you because I know you know it already. Um, I didn't like it at all. I just, I my fourth grader did it. It's not that I didn't like it at all, but I felt you can be more, um, I guess, more creative or more in details than this. It's just very basic. Maybe for my fourth grader it was. Maybe for older kids it's better, but for the first grader it was just very basic to the point where like I felt ridiculous when I was doing it with him. But he liked it, and I wanted to do it because he liked it. So we would rotate one day this, one day social studies, one day science, one day geography. Um, and we didn't like if you see we barely got through half the books. So, um, but that's what I did. For this year, we're definitely going 100% IXL. I like it. It's basic, especially for elementary school. I learned that science, social studies, and geography, I just need the very basics. That's it. I don't need much because they're going to, first of all, they're not there yet mentally. Like, I'm not going to bore them to death with so many details because their brain is not yet ready. I give them basic information, I give them highlighted information, and that's it. That's all I need. I want them to know that for example, there's three states of matter: solid, liquid. I want them to know what's solid, what's liquid, what's gas. That's about it. I want them to know what a force, what a distance, what a speed is, how this is related to each other. For example, very basic, very the basic stuff. Geography. I want them to know that this is the world. We have continents, we have land, we have water, we have oceans. To map skills, that's what I'm interested in. But for social studies, just very basic stuff. But I won't I don't worry a lot about having to or trying to engrave things into them because it's never going to be successful because their brain, their interest is not there yet. But I give them the basics, especially through more interesting ways. So IXL, I like IXL because it's kind of we have a board game called the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire based on the show, and we love it. And it's kind of testing our general knowledge. And this is I feel this is what IXL is like. You're not really studying; you're playing a game. Do you know this? So that's why I like it, especially for these topics and especially for the younger ones. Anyway, so that's what we're going with IXL. And we don't do social studies, science, and geography on the same day. We one day this, one day this, one day this. That's it for that. Then English, I did with him hooked on phonics. For English, like I explained before, I don't, um, up to first grade, I only focus in Arabic. And I would let them, as when they were very young, maybe, listen to the English alphabet, ABC, and that's it. Up to first grade, by first grade, I want them to at least have the alphabets, ABC. Uh, some of them, they would catch the phonics as well. Like, so this letter makes this sound, this letter makes this sound. So first grade, which was him last year, has him. We started Hooked Phonics. So it's not till first grade that I uh, teach them how to read English, because I want them to start reading Arabic first. And that's what I tried with my youngest three. The first three, unfortunately, I tried both at the same time. And English always picks up. Um, so I learned that no, English is gonna pick up anyway. So that's why I decided with my youngest three to focus on Arabic till they reach first grade. Then after that, I will start English. Uh, and it's been, alhamdulillah, it's been good. So we did, uh, where is it? So yeah, he reached the its levels, and this is I used with his oldest with my oldest son. So now I'm using with my youngest son. It's these levels we skipped. So like I said, by when I tried to reach level one, to start with the level one, but alhamdulillah, he was okay with level one. We quickly uh, we zoomed through the for level one and two, because the level one and two is basically letters. That's it. So he knew his letters. He knew even the phonics. So we did a couple worksheets. I would go online, find a worksheet. That's what we did only the first month. A work like a packet for each letter, sounds, how to write it, big and small, starting words starting with that letter. We did it for every letter. When we finished all the letters, and then we went through three, four. So he finished all this just for 1 year. Then this year, we're planning on finishing this, and then he will be ready reading English, inshallah. He's already reading the small books. Like by the end of the year, um, for this level, he read all this, the purple level. He was able to read all these books. Um, and that's the last book. So this is his reading level right now. And I'm happy with that. He's catching up fine, alhamdulillah. So this year, inshallah, this year I'm doing IXL for language arts for him alongside Hooked Phonics. Uh, and we're also um, going to be reading books together. That's about it. And the handwriting of the good and the beautiful, I use it. Uh, he started this last year, and he's going to continue. He didn't finish it yet. This is the good and the beautiful, handwriting level one. He's going to do it. And actually, when he's done, I'm gonna have him do it again. I always buy the digital copy so that I can print it anytime and use it for multiple kids, and bind it myself, and just have him use it. That's about it. And then we have PE. I try to always encourage them to move, especially with homeschooling. You get to sit in the same place, and that's really not healthy and not good to the mood and to the health overall. So we have a trampoline. I ask them to go outside and play in the trampoline, run around the house. We sometimes do races around the house. I have a treadmill, so sometimes the little one, very slow on the treadmill, or I would, let them just go out, play outside. uh that's about it. And oh, I also encourage hobby time, and we were not very successful. I Throughout the years, I always encourage hobby time, but I noticed that last year we kind of failed in this area, and this year when we were doing our planning, I told them that nighttime, we don't do screen time at night during the week. So I told them nighttime is absolutely towards hobby time, because I want the little one. The older one, alhamdulillah, they explored themselves and they were able to figure out their hobbies. Uh, but then the younger one are still exploring. So I want to make time for them to explore, and I'm gonna come up with a list of hobbies for them to explore. Inshallah, I'm still working on it. And then I'm gonna try to buy kits for these kind of hobbies so that they explore it every week or every month. Not sure how this is gonna work, but once I come up with something, inshallah, that's I'm gonna share it with you. But that's it for my first grader then and my second grader now. Um, Hopefully by next year, by the end of this year, school year, I would try to let you know how it went with the things with my plan for this year, inshallah. I hope uh, you know, uh, this video is helpful and would help you in planning your homeschooling with your kid. If you have any questions, please feel free to add a comment to the video or go to our website, not website, our page on Facebook, Raising Ummah. Uh, and yeah, and that's it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.